We're going to be talking about a really crappy week of sales. And with that, I thought it would be good to kind of address something that I see a lot of people talking about and something that I see happen with a lot of newer resellers. And that is the truth that reselling really isn't for everybody. So we're going to talk about a crappy week of sales and kind of dissect that topic a little bit. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park, and today we're going to be talking about everything that sold for me in the week of, and you guys, I have been so bad with my dates in the last few What Sold videos, so let's see if I can get this right so that I don't just drive my editor crazy. But we're talking about July 21st through the 27th. And during that time, I was actually on vacation. I was in Seattle visiting my family. My parents live there. And so both my family and my brother's family, we went out to, spend some time with my parents, which was really great. We went to Crater Lake National Park, and we went to Rainier National Park, and we went to the coast of Oregon, did some really cool things. But because I was gone, although I did leave my eBay store open, and that's all I have this week to talk about our eBay sales, there was just not a lot of action. And so there wasn't a lot going on. But I thought I would talk to you really quickly about just the fact that reselling is hard. Like in concept, it's a simple thing to do. You just find things that you want to sell online. You try to sell them for as much as you can so that you have, a nice little profit that you've made on that item, and you generally get better and better at it over time. So it's, the concept of reselling is not a difficult thing, but it's a hard thing to build up. And I think what happens is a lot of newer resellers, they see what is achievable because there are people who make videos like this, they share what's sold, and they see these pictures of like 100 items going out the door after a weekend for some resellers, and they are struggling to sell one thing in 2 weeks. And they're thinking to themselves, I guess it works for them, it's never going to work for me. And I think the hardest thing about reselling is getting to the point where you're making consistent sales and building up that momentum and getting to the place where you're able to do things quickly and efficiently, and where you feel confident in the items that you're picking up, and you feel confident about how to list those items and how to price them and how to create your listing title. And all I can say is, first of all, I'm not like a pro or anything. I'm still in a place of learning and soaking in and making mistakes. I definitely know that there are improvements I can make in my own reselling business, but the consistency that has come from my sales, not so much in this week, but when I started seeing consistent sales is when I was devoted to being consistent to my reselling business, whether things were going well or not. And I think that is the deciding factor, when it comes to whether or not a reseller is going to find success doing this, or whether they quit and move on to something else. I have mentored, I feel like, a lot of resellers, just even in my own personal life. I have friends who resell even to this day after I introduced them to it, years ago. And I have friends who tried it and they were like, no, I can't. Like it is not for me. It's too hard, or I don't enjoy it. But it's one of those things that even people who started way later than me, they started reselling years after I did, they're finding way more success. And it's simply because they chose to be consistent and they chose to dive in head first and learn as much as they could about brands or about bolos, or, they just continue to expand their knowledge, and they continue to try out different platforms and push themselves and try different things. And if you can do that, if you can commit, and if you can stay consistent, you will see the rewards. And I just wanted to share that because I think I've been having conversations with a lot of people over on Facebook, which again, if you're not following me over there, you can just search for Becky Park. I'll have that link down below. And I've been having a lot of conversations over there with newer resellers who are frustrated and disappointed and discouraged. And they're kind of telling themselves, I just don't think I have what it takes. Like, I don't think I'm very good at this. And it's a reminder to me of what it was like when I was just starting out too. And for those of you who are watching who might be in that boat where maybe you're pretty new to this, I just want to say, keep going. I promise you, if you just stay committed, if you just stay consistent, what's going to happen is sales will start to become more consistent. And some of these other people alongside you who are trying this as well, they're going to fall by the wayside. They're just not going to have what it takes when it comes to committing even when it's hard, even when you're not seeing results. If you keep at it and if you keep getting 1% better every day, I promise you, there's going to come a time when you are like flying past me and you're making way more sales than me and making way more money than I am because you have been able to commit the time and the energy to learn what you need to learn to get to a place where you're killing it. So I just wanted to throw that encouragement at you, especially if you have been experiencing weeks like the one that I'm going to talk about. And I am still behind. I got behind because of this vacation. I got behind because of school, but I am committed to like filming 3 of these tonight so that I can get caught up. So like I said, we are going to be talking about sales from the week of the 21st through the 27th of July. And all I did was extend my, what is it called? Like handling time. Oh my gosh, I had a piece of cookie right here the whole time. Oh my Lord. Well, it's gone now, so if you didn't see it before. My daughter made cookies and I ate one and it was delicious. But I was on vacation, so these were items that sold despite the fact that I wasn't listing new items. I wasn't really doing anything to, spur any action in my store, but it's good to know that even still you can make sales. So we'll start by talking about July 21st, which was a Monday. And on eBay, I sold this Chico's So Slimming Girlfriend black jeweled slim leg ankle pants in a women's size 2XL. These I got at a birthday sale at my local consignment store back in May. So I had $2.85 into them. That was how much I had into each item. And they sold for $24.99 in about 1.5 months. So that was a pretty quick flip. I wasn't sure if these would flip that quickly because I feel like that kind of bejeweled, like just super blinged out style, it was kind of popular like in the 2010s, not really something that we've been seeing a lot of lately, but just thought I would try them and I thought it paid off. It was a good flip. I made a profit of $17.96 on those, but this was like one of the first things to sell while I was on vacation and we were gone for like a week and a half. This lady did reach out at some point and she was like, why is this taking so long to get shipped out to me? And I was like, if you notice my shipping and handling time, like I extended it because I'm out of town. This is the date that I'm going to be able to ship these out to you. One thing I am really bad about when I go on a trip and I, extend my shipping and handling time, I should send a message to everyone who buys something from me, especially earlier on during my trip, just to let them know in case they're not paying attention to the shipping and handling time. I should be telling them, hey, just so you know, I'm out of town. This is the date that I'm going to be able to ship this out. Is that okay? And that's something that I definitely want to get in the practice of doing the next time I have to go out of town. It's just like there's so much happening when I'm traveling, especially when I'm traveling with my parents and they have just like the craziest itinerary planned. I feel like there's no time for me to do any of that kind of stuff, but it is something that I need to be better about. And then on the 22nd, which was a Tuesday, on eBay, I sold this new with tags, Life is Good. It was like an orange t-shirt, I think, and it said life was good. And there's like a graveyard scene with like a little tombstone and stuff. It's a little dark and a little early, I think, for Halloween-y type stuff to be selling. This sold in July, but I was happy that it did. It was a long sleeve t-shirt. I did put the word Halloween in the listing title and it was in a size 2XL. That one I had $2.50 into. I got it at the estate sale that I've been talking so much about all summer long because so many great sales have come from the items that I purchased at that estate sale. So I got that during the half off day and it took a little less than a month to sell. I had $2.50 into it. It sold for, gosh darn it, I didn't write down. Let's see. Let me see. Also, my voice is gone, if you can't tell. And it's because it was like my first week teaching, so my voice isn't used to that. But then on top of that, I had like a retreat at my church that I had to sing at all weekend. So my voice is shot. And I haven't been sleeping a lot. Again, retreat and work and stuff. So I have like, do you get that like canker sores kind of on your tongue? So I feel like I'm lisping. Like it's hard to say words because of what's happening. But that item sold for $17.50. That was an offer that someone sent me. And because I just wasn't making sales, I wasn't listing new things, I was like, sure, you can have that for that price. So my net profit on that shirt was $11.42. And then on the 23rd, no sales. But on the 24th, which was a Thursday, I sold this Ming Wang gray sleeveless top in a women's plus size 2X. I put words like neutral and classic and minimalist. This is just like the type of thing that I feel like people want to wear underneath like cardigans, or, they wear it as like a shell when they are at work in like an office setting or something like that. It's just like an essential piece of especially like a capsule wardrobe or a minimalist wardrobe, which is why those were the kinds of keywords that I used. But that one I did get at the estate sale as well. I got it as part of like the bulk buyout for all of the clothes that didn't sell during the estate sale. So I only had 39 cents into that. And it sold for $34.99, which was my full asking price, which I was shocked by. Like, I was actually shocked that it sold for that amount because that was pretty crazy. And so my net profit on that was $29.06. There you go. And Ming Wang is a brand I've shared before on this channel that I don't generally have very good luck with it. I feel like I sit on it. But a lot of you have said in the comments, oh, it moves pretty well for me, especially in the bigger sizes. So man, I think that was kind of honestly a fluke sale, but very happy about that. And then moving on to the 25th of July, which was a Friday, on eBay, I sold this Ralph Lauren Premier Straight Dark Wash jeans in a women's size 20W. They were mid-rise. I got those in August of 2024. So even though I had them for a while, I didn't get around to listing them till just like a few months ago. So they really were only listed a little under 2 months. They were part of a $3 tag sale, and I sold those for $15. And I was happy to do that because there was nothing very special about these. I don't really know why I picked them up for $3, but my net profit was $9.46. And then I sold on that same day this NYDJ, which is Not Your Daughter's Jeans, this tuxedo jacket. It was in this velveteen material, which is very soft and like luxurious feeling. And the color was Red Wild Currant. It was a velvet blazer and it was in a women's size extra large. I did put the word Regency in the listing title, and that I did get at the half off sale at the estate sale. So I had about $250 into it and it sold for $39.99. It was promoted at 3%. It took a little over 2 months to sell. And I think $39.99 was my full asking price. And I took a chance on this. I typically have very bad luck with NYDJ. It just sits and sits and sits forever. But this one, sold pretty fast, like I said, in about 2 months. And I made a net profit of $31.76 on that. So really what I'm learning is a lot of things, a lot of brands can sell really well that maybe traditionally wouldn't if they're in larger sizes, if they're a little bit more elevated, like this piece was, it was like a velvet blazer. But even plain tanks from brands that maybe don't do super well for you can do well if they're in bigger sizes. That's definitely one factor to consider if you're looking at something and asking yourself if you should pick it up. If it's in a bigger size, I think that definitely pushes you more towards the yes, pick it up than not. So I've been learning a lot through this estate sale, if you couldn't tell. And then on the 26th, no sales. But on the 27th of July, which was a Sunday and the last day of sales that we'll talk about, on eBay, I sold this pair of Gap Kids tan suede fringe side zip ankle boots in a youth girl size 2. I had the word youth 2 times in the listing title, which is dumb, so silly on me. But those, I did also put the word boho in the listing title as well. They sold for $24.99, which was my full asking price. Again, I was kind of shocked that they sold for my full asking price. I didn't have any money into those because they were my daughter's. I don't think she actually wore them. I think they were hand-me-downs from someone else at church. She just is not into anything that's not super basic, like super normcore. Like she's just a t-shirt and jeans type of girl, or I don't know, she's getting into sweaters and stuff, but yeah, especially with accessories, which she doesn't wear, and shoes, she just likes them super simple. So my net profit on those was $21.41. We love to see it. Also on the 27th, I sold another pair of shoes. This was a pair of Dansko black Pippa molded perforated slip-on clog wedges in a women's European size 38. I got these at a local consignment store. I got them in 2023, but I didn't get around to listing it until sometime in June. I don't know why. I think it's because I was like, who's going to buy this? Like, why did I pick this up? Like, I think I was just like showing buyer's remorse. So I put off listing them for a very long time. And then they literally sold in a little over a month once I got them listed. I feel like that's always how it goes. Like the thing that you've been dreading listing, the second you do it, it sells like that. And you're like, well, I was an idiot. So I had about $5 into those and my net profit ended up being $25.98. Dansko is still doing it for me. Like it still sells for pretty good money. And then the final sale that we'll talk about was again on eBay. And it was this pair of Banana Republic silver leather metallic slip-on mules or like flats in a women's size 6.5. I've had those for a very long time, it feels like. No, not feels like. It's been a very long time. I've had those since 2023, and they finally sold again for my full asking price of $27.99. I had $4.55 into them, and so my net profit was $18.24. Just needed a couple years to just like hang out at my house with me. Did they do the move with me, or did I buy them after I moved into this house? I can't remember, but we've spent some years together, those silver shoes and I. So that is everything that sold. Let me share with you my numbers. I only sold items on eBay because I only had eBay available for people to shop from. And I sold 9 items that week. So my gross sales amount was $286.06. I had $20.79 into those items, and my net profit was $165.29. And even though I only sold 9 items, a third of them came from the estate sale. So 3 items from the estate sale. And I made a net profit off of those 3 items of $72.24. So thus far, just from the estate sale alone, I have sold 130 items for a net profit of $2,559.21. And for the year thus far, by the end of July, I had made a net profit of $10,991.13. So this close to $11,000 for the year in net profit. But one thing I'm trying to commit to, as you know, I've started school now and I'm just trying to think about like what's reasonable as far as what I can do with my schedule. One thing when it comes to YouTube is obviously, you know, I want to keep doing these what sold videos, but I also was thinking of maybe doing like a weekly vlog, just kind of sharing the behind the scenes of my reselling business and just like a little bit more informal of a video. I feel like I always do these like sit down and talk at you type of videos. Let me know if you'd be interested in that kind of stuff, like if you're into reseller vlogs. And then on the reselling side of things, I feel like one thing I want to try to commit to do is one whatnot show a week. And I think the way that I want to do it, and I've shared this in other videos too, but I want to go sourcing one day a week specifically just for whatnot. And if it doesn't sell in the show, it'll be stuff that I just list myself, but it's stuff that I would pick up to resell. And if you want to buy it from me, awesome. And if you don't want to buy it from me, I'll just list it myself and I'm cool with that. And there are what sold videos coming up where I share about items that sell that I had originally, you know, put in whatnot shows and they didn't sell in those whatnot shows. So I just list them myself and I make, you know, good money on those items. It's okay if people don't want them, I'll just list them myself. But it's just kind of cool to get to hang out with you guys and do a live show and build community. But when I was thinking about, so how can I acquire enough inventory for that though? Like that's what I was thinking. I'll just thrift the way that I normally would and I'll bring it to the show if you guys want to purchase something for, you know, a good price and get a good deal. Awesome. And if not, I'll just list those things myself later. But that is kind of where I'm at right now. I've been thinking about a lot of things as I've been interacting with you guys on Facebook and on Instagram and just kind of hearing how you're doing. And like I said, I see and I hear your frustrations. I see and I hear some of you who are at the beginning stages of this and kind of thinking to yourself, is it worth it? Like, is this something that I can do? Am I going to be able to make any money doing this? Just an encouragement to you. You can absolutely do this. The beginning of my reselling journey, I mean, I was moving at a snail's pace. I would make a sale every 2 weeks or something. I'd get so excited, but I just kept at it and here we are now. Here we are. So let me know down in the comments below how sales have been for you and where you're at in your journey. I'm so curious, from the people who are watching, are you somebody who is just starting out your reselling journey? Is this something that you've just been doing for, maybe a year or so? Or are you a veteran? Like you've been doing this forever and you just still can't get enough of reselling content. But that is all I've got for you today. I am in the midst of an asthma attack, I feel like, so I'm going to go find my inhaler and take care of this situation. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do on your way out, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.